speak to who's ever in charge, the magistrate, is it? Magistrate?
Yeah.
Okay, so the magistrate, can he chuck the case out?
No, the decision's already been made. It was overturned.
Can't overturn it.
The High Court ruled she'd have to overturn her decision. Vanessa Baritza ruled that he could not be extradited because there was a concern for his health in American prisons and that he was a suicide risk. It went to the High Court. The High Court accepted assurances from the Americans after that magistrate's decision was made. After that, they put in assurances, oh, we'll look after him. We won't put him in special administrative measures. But there was a rider to the clause, yeah? Unless he does anything that would require us to do that. So they had an out. They're not assurances. The High Court believed them. The High Court was presided over by the Lord Chief Justice, Ian Burnett, who was a friend of Alan Duncan, who was the minister who set up Operation Penguin, which was a war room to see how they'd get Assange out of the embassy. That war room was like the war room when they got Osama bin Laden and you saw Obama and the rest of them laughing and cheering. Yeah? The British police, after the International Monetary Fund gave a $4.2 billion bribe to the Ecuadorian government on pains of revealing the corruption in Leonard Moreno's accounts. Him and his brother had Swiss bank accounts. They said, unless you take the IMF money and expel Julian from the embassy, let the British Met Police come in and tear him out, enter sovereign soil, abrogation of international law. Unless you do that, you're busted. He did it. They dragged Julian out, put him in jail. 3 years he's been in Belmarsh jail. And then Alan Duncan is the friend of the man who made the decision to overturn Vanessa Baritza's no extradition decision. So now she will sign the papers on Wednesday to send them to Priti Patel, who will sign off on the extradition, and 4 weeks the lawyers have to put their case as to why that shouldn't happen. We all know what Priti Patel will do. So, yeah. Julian may have cross appeals pending. He may not go immediately. But nobody trusts America and the CIA, so some people think that he could be renditioned. And it could happen quickly, in the night, under the darkness, cloak of darkness. So we need everybody to come to the Westminster Magistrates Court next Wednesday, 9 a.m, to support Julian Assange. Show up. We've lost all of our freedoms. We need to fight for them. We need WikiLeaks, we need Julian Assange, we need what he represents. If we can save him, perhaps we have a shot at it. So, I didn't expect to come to Speaker's Corners. I had a PA, but apparently it's you can't use a PA, is that right?
Your voice, yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing fine with your voice, don't worry.
Yeah. So we came here this morning because the Pakistan community were having a rally for Imran Khan. Imran Khan, a man who came to power in 2018, did a very prescient interview with Julian Assange. He was zoomed into the Ecuadorian embassy, and he identified the forces in Pakistan which were preventing him from coming to power, or that were the threats to him coming to power. The security state, the Americans, the CIA. Prescient interview. He came to power in 2018, but now what's happened? The CIA. What's Julian's problem? The CIA. Julian is from Australia. In 1975, I was a young girl and the CIA brought down the Australian government. Yeah? A democratically elected leader of the Labor Party called Gough Whitlam. He was cooed by the CIA then. Obviously, our problem is the CIA and intelligence services. Everyone's problem is that, everywhere around the world. You can't have a democratically elected government if they don't want it. If they want to start dealing drugs and arms and, stealing from you, they will do it because it's the CIA, mate. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah.
So powerful.
They run it. They run the place.
Aren't they controlled by? Doesn't the president have any control over the CIA?
Well, look at what happened to JFK. Yeah. Look at what happened to all of the presidents of America that said we don't need it. Yeah? They wanted to dismantle them. They have been chopped, assassinated, or sidelined. So yeah. Sorry?
Speak on your.
Apparently you're not allowed because it affects other people. Yeah? It is Speaker's Corner. Do you want to make a speech?
Your voice is absolutely fine, don't worry.
Oh, that's why you have one. I was wondering.
Just gonna slap a audio thing on this, sorry. 1 second. That's it. Now. Oh, sorry. Just trying to get a muff on against the wind.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am totally aware the challenge before me that I need to assemble an audience, and I assume that some of you have been to that location of the park and you haven't been terribly impressed. That's if you are a person who believes in freedom and democracy and so on. I met in the park this young lady who I've had many a dialogue with in the past, and I don't mean to come across as sexist in any way, but I've always been right and she's always been wrong. However, we still have an amicable relationship, I think, despite the fact that we fundamentally disagree on some issues. I even went to an Indian restaurant where I knew that she was likely to be attending, and we had a debate there, and it was very amicable. And despite our differences, if I remember correctly, we even gave each other a hug when we left each other. Isn't that correct? And she's smiling now because there is a little recognition that I am very masterful in my views, and there might be some part of her that might want to actually, be absorbed in my world. That's quite possible. Who knows? However, ladies and gentlemen, it's got to be emphasized, she has her security with her today. This gentleman here, he is. I encountered him over there. She's feeling vulnerable about her opinions in my company. So she brings along her security, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you think about it, but I think that this is quite an intriguing situation, considering Speaker's Corner is all about dialogue, debates, and this is the tradition of its history. Let's move on. I actually initially loaned this platform to the lady over representing the Free Assange campaign. I totally agree with what she's all about, what she's doing. I mean, I'm not going to speak about it because I'm not an expert on the subject. I'm an expert on sexual matters, if anybody wants to know about that, but I'm not an expert on other issues, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, of course I believe in freedom and democracy. And only a year ago, 1 year ago only, I know you tourists might be bewildered by this, but Speaker's Corner was hijacked by the police, and if you actually made a decision to speak here, you were potentially arrested, put in handcuffs, and taken away. In fact, the gentleman filming me was arrested here many times for speaking, just for speaking. Even if I disagree with his opinions, I certainly would welcome his contribution, because when we hear a variety of opinions, it then defines the person we want to become, right? Is that right or wrong? So, By the way, if you want to go on the Extinction Rebellion march as opposed to listening to me, I think opportunity now, ladies and gentlemen. And if none
No,
of
that's
you
the
go,
Pakistanis.
oh, is it something?
Stinky rebels are over there.
Right. Well, if you don't go on one of those demonstrations, then I would only assume that you are acting irresponsibly, listening to me instead of campaigning for real justice. Oh well, I don't know. There you go. I don't know what I'm saying, but it sounded good to me. Can everybody? Let's go community. Let's get a.
Imran Khan more handsome than you.
Sorry, what was
Is
that?
Imran Khan more handsome than you?
No, I don't know. Look, he's asking me about looks, okay? Looks. I realised something. Looks. I know somebody who's attractive. I can recognise that. I'm sorry, nobody in this, but really, I can recognise a good-looking person, okay? And I think we all have our own definition of good looks, and sometimes I think I would say it's quite similar. I think it's quite similar. I have been to the magistrate's court and I have seen two similar cases, and there is a bias. If somebody's good looking, they're considerably more likely to get off the case than if somebody is not good looking.
It's the money.
It's really quite interesting that. And I think this is extended to who we are anyway. We all have our bias, you know. If you, I know this might be controversial, but you know, somebody from the Me Too movement, if she's being chatted up by, say, Russell Brand, maybe it's not so bad as if she was being chatted up by you, so no offense. You know what I mean? So this is where the hypocrisy comes in and the contradiction comes in. I'm not going to speak militantly about it, only to say that most of us are not squeaky clean. Most of us are hypocritical. Most of us disguise our own inadequacies, and you know, we have an imperfect world. The problem, of course, is society makes us imperfect, makes us competitive. That's the problem. Our society does it. We've tried an alternative way, like communism, and from everything that I've observed, I think that is equally despicable. So how do you find a good system? My only advice to you is to try to seek happiness and harmony and stability and enjoyment in another partner or partners. That is my opinion. I don't know if anyone's got
Is that not escaping?
What's going on here? Don't you like? Do I smell? Come a little bit closer. The nearer you are to me, the nearer you are to heaven. Thank you very much indeed. Hello, madam.
Are you saying by finding?
I'm going to come closer to you. So I want to hear you. I want to hear you.
Are you saying though by seeking a partner, is that not an individualised problem individualised solution to a societal problem? Shouldn't the solution be to unite with other people in order to change society?
Well, it's a good question. The only thing I can respond by saying is that the lonely, introverted individuals, you know, often are the ones that are responsible for the most aggression in society, and or the most, or they experience the most loneliness and frustrations and so on. I mean, you could say that we don't have necessarily a right to be happy, if that's what your angle is, because that might be the angle of any dictatorial regime, that you shouldn't be happy, that you should abide by the state's rulings, you should be controlled by the state. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, I would much rather be making love to a beautiful woman on a regular, or women on a regular basis. And the reason I never got married is because I felt it would be fundamentally selfish of me, a good-looking man, a very good-looking guy, to fulfill the needs of only one woman when there are many women that are looking for a man like me. And you know, if you want a reminder that this is has credibility, what I'm saying, go to this frustrated gentleman over there. You don't see any women in the meeting really, and it's very repetitive of each other, and they're all trying to control you, oppress you. Look, I'm very different. If you were in a relationship with me, I'm a feminist actually. I would actually clean the dishes, I would sweep the floors, and then we would make love. Are you listening, ladies?
But
in my
to
audience?
rewind a second, though, I don't know how that.
Oh, yes, sir.
20 years I know you.
You know me 20 years.
Yeah, you're coming here to talking about this love.
Always something different. Always something different.
But to rewind, I don't understand how making more love is going to make the world societally better. It'll be great for the individuals involved, and there may be externalities.
I'm going to tell you something. I think the problem, at least as far as this country is concerned, is school. There is not enough emphasis on communication. That's why you've got sexism and misogyny and so on, which I don't agree with, actually. But, you know, a lot of women do get mixed up, and they associate misogyny and sexism just because you fancy them and you display that you fancy them. I mean, you know, fancying somebody is just so normal, you know? So you agree with that? You're letting the feminists down, madam.
No,
Anyway.
no, but there's ways to do it. As long as you're not creep about it.
Yeah.
You know, then that could be off-putting. But the thing is, women aren't doing it because they. It's usually out
Do you
of
know
fear.
do you know there's a new crime now? You're not allowed to stare at anybody on the tube. That's
It's
a
weird that
brand
that's
new.
a
Have you
crime.
heard about
Yeah,
it? It's a brand new crime, and I need to tell you guys because I know a lot of you guys look like the types that will stare at women on the tube. It is now to become illegal, and you will be fined quite significantly, and you might even
Go to prison.
have a ban for something, I don't know, going on the tube or whatever for some time. So this is the world we're coming into, a world of paranoia, a world of hypocrisy, because, you know, there are individuals that are actually suggesting that it is abnormal to stare at somebody and to like somebody, and that is just ridiculous. Women do it too. Not so much now, but when I was younger, women stared at me, and I sometimes felt a little bit of discomfort.
There you go. That's
But
why
no, but not enough for me to wish them to be prosecuted.
Well, it's not the women that are making the laws, that's the state.
Well, yeah, but
Sadiq Khan.
So they can't.
Well,
Sadiq Khan
no,
defending the women.
Well, there you are. But you know, this is not properly defending women. There
People
are.
shouldn't stare, it's rude.
There are.
You're always
Can
told
I
not
tell
to
you?
stare,
In my
right?
submission, there are many.
Is something.
Can I speak? Because I'm a man and you're a woman. Can I speak first? Okay.
Well, you've been speaking all the time.
She's
Let her engage in
Go
the
on,
conversation.
let her engage. Only because it's a man who made that request. No, what would you like to say?
No, I believe staring is quite, you know,
It's intimidating too.
intimidating. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, you find it intimidating?
Yes.
Is that why you wear dark glasses?
No,
You're staring at me
looking.
now.
But you're talking as
We
well.
are in a group of people, and I'm
Oh,
sure
so it's okay
if
for me to
something happens-
hang on a moment.
something
It's
happens-
okay for us
Hello.
to find each other
How you doing,
sexually
alright?
attractive here, but not on a tube. How ridiculous can you be? It's
Okay, see you in a bit
ridiculous.
then, yeah?
Doesn't make any sense.
No,
All right, ta-da.
yeah,
a lot of people are.
Yeah.
completely out of things. Imagine if it is late at night, you are on a wagon in a train with nobody there, one guy and you.
Yeah.
And this guy is like, you know,
I know what you're going to say, and I actually share your opinion. A certain stare, it can be very, very intimidating, and that kind of stare from an aggressive individual would be very, very uncomfortable for you, I'm sure, and I wouldn't condone it. But to suggest, and for the government to suggest that it is going to be now unlawful to stare at somebody because you find them attractive, and to actually interpret it as sexual, in my submission, is quite a despicable way of implementing law and order.
many women are here going to speak to you.
Well, it's interesting that the ones who are angry, I don't mean to be rude, but they're not exactly the sort of women that men are going to stare at. I know that might sound slightly misogynistic, but let's be, hang on a moment. There is credibility in that statement. I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, and but what I was about to say, and I think this is really, really important, the big important things where women are exploited do not get talked about anywhere near enough. For example, female circumcision, which is one of the most despicable acts any woman can receive, doesn't get spoken about. I don't hear the Me Too movement talking about female circumcision. I don't hear it, and it's despicable. And there are many, many injustices that need to be exposed. But staring at women is quite normal, and women staring at men is, I remember when I went to Norway, okay, I was a lot younger, I was 24, I was very good looking. To give you an idea of how good I was better looking than any of you now, okay? Okay.
Well, that's got it.
You're not bad. But look, this is a reality. And two young ladies were staring at me, and you know, I actually found it complimentary. It was a very, very nice thing when somebody finds you attractive. When it's not nice is when somebody you don't fancy does it, and then it has a different scenario.
And what happened?
Well, then you just say, oh, that
No,
person
in
is
Norway.
in Norway, well, unfortunately for me and for them, I was going in there to see an ex-girlfriend that I was trying to get back together with. I dumped her, and then she met another guy, and I said, right, I've got to go to Norway and try and rekindle the relationship. And that's what happened. We never got back together. So the girls on the plane and me could have had an incredible time, but it was just the way it was. But thank you for your inquiry.
Journalistic ethics. We need.
This is a very sensitive issue, madam, and you laughing
I have a
is
question.
patronising to me.
No, I don't mean to be patronising. You only went to rekindle the relationship because she was seeing somebody else. That was your reason.
Yeah, I guess that's what I needed. I was really secretly in love with her. Yeah, we met when we were both 21. Yeah, and then we were both 24. And I screwed up. I met a Swedish girl, and I screwed up. But look, I'm looking at the facial expressions, not you young people, but most of you other guys. I would envisage that you have made errors of judgment. We're not, we're all capable of it. And, in my mind, as a young man, I guess what I wanted was lots of beautiful women, lots of shapes. It was exciting for me. And, here you're getting transparency. You know what I mean? When do you get transparency from most people? I mean, you don't, do you? Look at Boris Johnson. Has he been transparent? He hasn't even been transparent about the amount of children he's got. We don't know exactly how many he's got.
They said 6 or something.
Or something.
Well, that's,
Any other questions? Yes, sir. Come on, I'm going to come a bit closer.
I can come closer.
Yeah, don't worry, yeah.
So you talked about feminism, and then you said that staring bottom of the list and circumcision top of the list. So according to you, what would be like top 3?
Well,
top
sorry,
5?
I want to hear the question.
Sorry. So you said that like in feminism, there's like an order of like important topics to discuss.
Yeah.
So you named 2, right? You talked about the staring issue.
Yeah, yes.
To you is on the bottom, and then you talked about the circumcision.
Yeah,
I believe
at
it's
the
on the
top,
top.
yeah.
What are the other on the top according to you?
Staring and circumcision at once.
That would be
naturally, rape would be a despicable crime. Putting something in a woman's drink. Actually, one of the horrible things for me is domestic violence, because I've been in many relationships, and I have been in a situation where I've discovered that my girlfriend was unfaithful. Now you're full of anger and frustration, and your ego's hurt, and a lot of men would slap or hit. I've never done anything like that. All I've ever done is express anger, but I've never done anything more. So I think men and also women as well have to refrain from participating in any aggression. I myself, I run, as some of you know, a comedy and cabaret club. I had actually a problem myself last night where I thought, I'm very lucky to be here after what I said to a much bigger guy than me, who was being a complete arsehole and was shouting out flippant remarks all the time. And as the promoter of the show, I have a responsibility to make sure that the acts and the audience are happy. So it was a very difficult situation to stop the show and to actually kick this guy out. There was no security. So I had to be resilient to any kind of whatever might happen to me. And it was quite intimidating. It came very, very close to me, like really close. And it was like nose to nose, like, two fighters in a boxing ring. But in the end, I was like a soldier in Ukraine fighting the Russian army. That's how I was. Any woman here would have admired the manliness of my response to that much more aggressive person.
Do you want to show us what you did?
I said, get out! No.
That's a good analogy.
I've been in this situation before, because when they're drinking too much, but I think these guys were probably on coke or something like that. They were, it was very, very. Where are you going, madam? You have to go by. This is the kind of woman that is making men miserable. Look, this is the women like that, where they, where they give you false hope. They're like in the meeting, I'm enjoying myself. I think you're wonderful, and then they let you down. See, all these men. You can see in the facial expression. Look what you women have done to women like you that have these men. For me, young lady.
Yes.
Oh.
Which one would you like?
It's the thought that counts. Very nice.
Shake hand.
Where are you from, by the way? Austria. Austria, okay. You had are you all from Austria? Oh, it's a big Austrian.
Big
It's a big Austrian family. That's very nice. Well,
Tell them you've been there.
I have been to Austria. I've been to
Yeah, he has.
I was in Austria.
I think he met.
Have you ever shaken hands with an Austrian?
I did. I had a girlfriend in Salzburg. I did. Yeah. I did. Very nice. So actually, I think what else I've done in Austria, I have spoken about speakers in one of your schools in Salzburg. I have done that. So I was in a group where they asked me questions, the royal family. Yeah, it's very, very nice. Very welcome. Yeah. Any other questions from anybody here? I will take questions from anybody.
When are you going back to Austria?
Well, this lady's given me some.
We're not allowed. We're not allowed to go to Austria.
Really?
We're not allowed to go to Austria.
Huh?
We're not allowed to go to Austria. We're forbidden.
Unvaccinated, still not allowed to go to Austria.
No, you can't.
The unvaccinated, are they allowed in?
No, you're not. No. No, you're not. Well,
It's very complicated.
PCR tests and all that sort of thing.
They were the first European country to make it compulsory
For everybody. Dropped it.
That was not implemented.
They dropped it, yeah.
Was that just to scare people or something like that?
No, they tried it, but
It didn't work. Yeah.
Failed because it was falling apart.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah. Look, at the time, I think a lot of people thought this was just going to go on forever and ever and ever. But I think it was inevitable that some other priority would happen. So now we've got a Russian-Ukrainian conflict. So it was likely to change. But yeah, it was a scary time. Sorry?
Safe.
you're safe in Austria.
You are safe.
Safe from what?
It's safe.
Okay. Fair enough. You want to? No, you don't. Filming. I have a question for you. Yes, sir.
Do face masks?
This is illegal discussion.
It's an illegal discussion. Please don't ask that question because you get blocked. You're not allowed to discuss it. It's a criminal offence.
Because there are a lot of communists here. Where are all the
I do a video show.
The Bible says he, on his own body, sinless as it was, he bore the sin of the whole world. My sin is not forgiven automatically.
Was it Israel's missing?
Yeah, next to the hospital. You're from the BBC. No, next to the hospital. Next to the hospital. Next to hospital.
There's no water in Gaza. Children
Hamas have brought it on themselves. Do you know where they get their electricity water from? Israel. Israel gives them most of their water and electricity. When they fire missiles at Israel, I'm not surprised.
Short sentence. Verbatim, I will repeat it even if you say I'm not Muslim. Give it to me, I'm going to shout it. Whatever, it's 5 words.
He comes along to hassle me and shout
Related to this conversation, more pertinent.
Pardon?
More pertinent.
No, you're supposed to speak, not shout me down. He tries to shout, so I can't speak. Anyway, do you blame Hamas? Those deaths in the only few people died because they
And Jesus,
I was in Birmingham. I went into the look at the menu and it ended up my friend said, I got your number, but get it after.
Elon Musk is going to come and say.
Yeah, well, that's what he says. That could be really interesting, opening up free speech. The ability to say something that might upset someone. I mean, even the original feminists and the TERFs are now deplatformed and aren't allowed into universities.
Who are the original feminists?
People like Germaine Greer, the ones that are still alive.
The suffragettes before that?
Well, they're not alive. I mean, if they came turned up, everyone would run.
You said the original.
Yeah, the original ones that are still alive.
You said the original.
Well, I know, but
feminists.
obviously you're not going to have a load of. You're not going to have a load of coffins making their way into the bloody university. The suffragettes.
That's like saying the origins of World War One didn't happen. Alive. The originals.
Well, I mean from the 70s.
You meant the original type of thinking, the original type of viewpoint.
From the 1970s, a lot of the.
I'd like to hear his policy.
See, I mean, Gloria Steinman started Ms. Magazine, and a lot of the feminists at the time said, "Why are the CIA paying for this?" So there's been a cultural move of change things.
ليش تصلنا من بعيد؟
That's what you say. What I read and what I know.
So you don't get my question was, would you call the police if you see 47 years old is having sex with a child? It's written on your Quran. You know, it's written on your Quran that he did it. Makes it over and over. You know, Muhammad when he's 54 years old, cried the child. And now you are telling me that was okay. Why that was okay? What did it was? He wasn't a prophet. He couldn't possibly be a prophet.
I say, the will of God is when you do wrong, Muhammad said, even if I do wrong, I will get punished.
So was it right? Was it right for Muhammad to climb the top of a child?
Let's say, okay, I'm answering. Let's say today is day of the
Let's say answer the question.
Okay, I'm answering. I am answering.
Not today of judgment.
Today,
Very clever. Can you answer the question though? Good majority.
In 21st century,
Master of language.
was it okay?
Answer the question. Answer Hatim's
I
question.
am answering.
We're waiting.
You being half an hour, you still have a
Still waiting.
But you don't let me to finish.
Oh, how long do you need to answer a simple question?
Let me finish. I will sing. My time I will sing. You don't. This is my time. Don't worry.
It's our time.
Okay. Listen. Today is
God made only you.
Today, I continue to you. Today Jesus is there and day of judgment. Yeah? If Muhammad doing we believe that God will punish you. As Muhammad said, if I am doing wrong, God will punish
Muhammad's
like
dead.
anybody.
What's the relevance of him? He's dead.
Judgment. God will
Yeah, he ain't coming back. He's worm food. Why are we talking about worm food?
Because Mr. Reinhardt, because you want to listen to your own voice.
Cannot be a mother of arson, right? She cannot be. So, according to the logic and theory and the fact, it's not possible, right? You understand? And if you said that, okay, it's come from itself, it's not possible. It's come from it's not possible. If you say in third point,
Stop. No, not.
Sin is forgiven. So when Jesus hung at the cross was fine. And on the cross, they said to Jesus, come down from the cross and we will believe you. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross and we will believe you. And my dear friends, you can find that this guy, Jesus, come down. He was on the cross naked, man. Your thought was on the cross naked.
Pakistani crowd that's come over here just to get a bit of atmospherics and noise for the end, and then that'll be our show today. You doing alright? So what's going on? You're standing for election, I understand.
I am, yes.
Where are you standing for election?
Haystown.
Haystown.
So,
And what do you stand for?
Well, I stand to Let London Live, so the Piers Corbyn party.
What programme are you advocating?
Yeah, we don't want any more lockdowns. We don't want the high street ever closed like it has been over the last 2 years again. There's a lot of independent businesses in Haystown, And you know, speaking to the shopkeepers, the last 2 years have been devastating for them. We want Hayes Town to stay open like before the pandemic. We don't want a new normal there. New normal is bad news for the independent living of people. We don't want schools closed down again. I mean, people's lives basically just blown out the water.
Okay. And if they want to find out about your political campaign, where should they go?
The Let London or Let UK Live website, Facebook, Piers Corbyn Facebook page as well. Yeah, vote for me in Hayes Town.
Do that.
Hazel Gillinder.
Thanks very much. Back in a while. So that's the Imran Khan supporters, and that's the Speaker's Corner show for this week. Mostly focused on the first speaker, or Martin Bessemer, runs a comedy club called monkeybusiness.com. Very much for watching. We'll be up again in a short while with a live stream of Piers Corbyn and myself, Michael Koo, speaking. Usually, well, it'll start in about 10.